One of my favorite stories comes from the Toltec tradition, and it is about a man of limited means, probably much like many of us, who nevertheless prays to God and asks that God come to his home for dinner one night. And God responds, "Of course, I'll come to your house for dinner." And so this man of limited means goes about preparing his home for dinner with God. If God doesn't work for you, you could substitute king, or perhaps Polly Shore. So the man's going about taking care of his house, getting it all ready. Food on the stove, sweep, 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 dust, dust, dust. Everything's got to be perfect for God's visit. In the middle of this, there's a knock on the door. And it's a hungry man. A beggar, clearly. Somebody with nothing. And the beggar says, "Please, do you have some food to spare? Is there anything at all?" And the man of limited means says, "I have nothing for you. I have a very special guest coming to dinner. I'm sorry." Closes the door, goes back to taking care of his home, preparations in progress. A little while longer, a woman comes to the door, knocks on the door. The man answers the door. The woman says, "I've had a horrible, horrible day and a long, long journey. If only I could come inside and rest for just a moment, and then I'll be on my way." The man says, "I'm sorry, but I'm in the process of cleaning up my home for a very, very, very special guest. You'll have to leave." And the woman goes. The man goes about taking care of his home, busy. Dinner's almost ready. The house is almost clean. He hears a loud crash outside. He goes outside to see what it is. And he sees that there's a young child who's fallen down, who's crying. The child says, "I've hurt myself. I'll be okay, but I could really use a hug." And the man says, "I don't have time for this. You're gonna need to go. I have a very special guest coming." So the child gets up and moves on. So the man, table set, house clean, dinner ready, everything perfect, sits at the table and waits. And waits. And waits. The man feels abandoned. He prays, "God, I had everything in order for you. Food, shelter, everything was ready. Everything was perfect for you." And God responds, "I came calling 3 times. When I asked for food, you turned me away. When I asked for shelter, you said you had none to offer. When I asked for love, you too refused me this." I dig this story. Parable, allegory, whatever you want to call it, and you can resist it all you want. I know in other days, I certainly have. But as we're in this holiday season, it's a solid reminder for me in my own practice to make sure that I set that table with at least 1 extra chair and 1 extra setting. Because who among us has not, at least in 1 hour of our lives, needed a little bit of food, a little bit of shelter, and a little bit of love, and we are surrounded by these people. Make sure you've got that food. Make sure you've got that shelter. Make sure you've got that love. Look around you. Offer it. Give it. Surrender it. It's so easy to spread love. And here's a kicker. Make sure you do those things for yourself too.